Hey there everybody, this is Lee with Creative2xmom, and today I'm going to be sharing with you the books that we read in the month of March 2019. So welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for joining me this morning. Today's video is part of a collaboration that is being hosted by myself as well as Ingrid at Mommy and Mia Homeschool Chronicles and April at the Simple Rugged Path. I'm going to link both of their channels down below as well as the playlist. And if you're new to Creative2xmom, this video is all about parenting, homeschooling, and thriving in the day-to-day. Or in the case of today's video, really good books. So each month, at the end of the month, I upload a video like this one, sharing with you the books that I read personally, as well as the books that we did as read-alouds with our kids. Now my kids read a ton, so if I were to go into all the books that we read this month, this video would be really long. So I limit it to my personal reads as well as our family read-alouds and our audiobooks. As far as my personal reads for this month, the first book that I finished was called A Miracle of Hope by Ruth Reed. Yesterday I uploaded a book review of this particular item as part of a book club that I am in called Reading Between the Lines. I'm going to link that video down below in case you haven't gotten a chance to see it yet. But this was a new author to me and a new story, and I love Amish fiction, and this one really did not disappoint. It was really good. It's over 300 pages long and I still felt like I could have read more. There was still so much to learn about these characters and the struggles that they were going through that even at that length I felt like it was over too soon. So I will be looking for more items from this author in the future. The second book that I read was called The Story of the Trapp Family Singers, the story that inspired the sound of music. This is by Maria Augusta Trapp. This is her biography. Now, if you have seen The Sound of Music and you think you know the story of the Von Trapp family singers, think again. This went so much deeper than the movie could ever do justice. At the point where they left Austria, I think I was maybe a third of the way into the book, and then it goes on to all their life experiences once they come to the United States. What really surprised me about this book was how deep her Christian walk was, how deep her relationship was with the Lord. I was shocked. You see a little bit of that in the movie, and of course it's a Catholic family, but how intense her faith was and how it brought this family through so much. Not only during the war and the time that they were in Austria, but how much it brought them through once they came to the United States, because it was not a smooth sailing road from there. They spent some time here, they got deported back, they had to spend some time in Europe because they couldn't return home. They came back to the US again, and just the personal struggles, the medical struggles, the financial struggles that this family went through. And yet, every time something happened or something came in their way, she constantly was turning back to the Lord for her hope. So this was one of those books that I didn't think about it ahead of time. We read books like missionary biographies for inspiration and encouragement, but this one was definitely an encouragement for me. Now the next book I do not have in front of me. It was called One Tuesday Morning by Karen Kingsbury. This book was suggested by Ingrid at Mommy and Mia Homeschool Chronicles, and I thought at the time that looks like a really good book. It's based on the events surrounding 9/11, and it follows the story of a firefighter and his wife. He is a believer and she is not, and he goes into the towers on that fateful morning, and it's all about their coming together after these events, finding each other after these events, learning to trust each other, and what happens to all those people that are lost. This is one of those books that as soon as she mentioned it, I thought, I really want to read that. And the more I got into it, Karen Kingsbury did such a good job of capturing that day and capturing the events and the emotions of that day. This book absolutely wrecked me. I struggled with this book. Really struggled with this one. And I think it was because 9/11 is such a huge event for somebody my age or around the time that was aware of what was happening. there's so much emotion that's involved, and there's so many memories that were involved. I can immediately go back to that day in my mind and remember where I was and the emotions of that day and what was happening. That as much as I loved this book, and I really did, I really felt like it was really well done. It wasn't over the top, it wasn't done distastefully, but it was a struggle. It was a struggle to finish. I found myself just weeping over this book because it was such a huge point in history for us as a nation and for me personally, and these characters come with such emotion, and it was so vivid that it was one of those books that I wanted to put down, and yet I needed to know what happened, and yet I couldn't read anymore, and yet I had to read more. So it was really, really good. But I think my word of caution in this is, if that for you still holds a lot of emotions, still holds a lot of memory, or if you know someone who was personally involved in that day, I don't know that I would pick this book up again. It's not a book that I could reread because it was just that gut-wrenching for me, and I don't know if that I would broadly recommend it to anyone. Just be very aware is that it is pretty raw. The third and final book that I read was on my Kindle, so I'm going to insert a photo. It was called Homeschooling Bravely by Jamie Erickson. Now, I was a part of the launch team for this book, so I received a free copy of this book for review. I'm going to link down below my full written review as soon as that goes live. That'll be next week. But I really, really loved it. I've read a lot of just encouraging parenting, homeschooling books, but this one was different, and it wasn't at all what I expected. I expected it to be very almost question and answer driven or problem and solution driven, but Jamie comes out and she hits this book with such intensity of, you are this child's parents. You have been put in this position for this time. You have been called for this. And it just really brought that challenge up of leading with faith and not leading with fear, and knowing that you are prepared and you are called to homeschool with your children. Whether you feel equipped or you don't feel equipped, the Lord knows where you're at, and He knows your heart, and He knows everything that He has prepared for you and your family. And it was such a departure from a lot of the homeschooling books that I have read before. Of course, she goes into some of the issues and some of the solutions later on, but an entire third of this book was dedicated to encouraging homeschooling moms and to helping them see a future for them and their kids. I was really challenged and encouraged by this book, and I think she's going to do great. I think this is a book that is really needed in the homeschooling parenting genre, and I cannot recommend this one highly enough. I hope it skyrockets in sales. It's a really, really great book. Now, as far as what we read with the kids this month, we listened to a lot of audiobooks. My youngest is in second grade, and I felt like this was a good time to introduce him to Sarah, Plain and Tall. And I had forgotten that it was actually part of a larger series. So we picked up the audiobook. We were able to listen to that, as well as Skylark, as well as Caleb's story. And it all flowed together so well. These were great stories about family values and connections and relationships and building bridges and really creating family. So even if you have read Sarah, Plain and Tall, I would encourage you to get into the series a little bit further. The other two books I hadn't read before and didn't know the story, and I felt like they really added to the whole picture. I got to know Sarah so much better and the family so much better as the trilogy went along. Now, in our homeschool, we read Rascal by Sterling North as part of our language arts. This was one of the books that I wanted to read with the kids. It was on my read aloud list for this year. I will link that video down below in case you need some ideas. We decided to switch it over and use it as part of our language arts curriculum with my older two. But as much as I focused on them and their understanding of the story, my second grader was always in the back of the room doing math or doing something, and I would ask my elder two a question and he would pipe up with the answer. He was just as interested as we were. I've never actually read the book Rascal before, but it was so good. I think this has become one of my favorite read-alouds so far. It's this kind of a biographical story of Sterling's life. His mother has passed away, his older sisters have moved out of the house, his older brother is in the war, and it's just him and his dad. And you end up, as the story evolves, it's a good glimpse into that part of history and what small town America would have been like, but it's also a good glimpse into this little boy's life and his just sense of needing to belong and needing to take care of someone and to be loved. And so he adopts this little raccoon named Rascal, and it's all about their adventures and the places they go and the troubles they get into. But as this raccoon gets older, it's also about his struggle to let go, and that loving sometimes means letting go. We all loved this book, but we were all very sad at the end. Then our family read aloud for the month of March was Mary Poppins by P.L. Travers. And if you think you know Mary Poppins based off the movie, think again. You've got to read the book. This is a book that I have personally read before in the past, and we decided to read it as a family. And Mary Poppins is very no-nonsense. In the movie, she's this fanciful creature who goes on all this craziness. In the book, she knows how it is. She's in charge, and she's going to make sure everybody minds their P's and Q's. But as much as she is a no-nonsense lady, my kids still really enjoyed this one and loved revisiting a favorite character from probably a different point of view. So that's all the books that we read with kids and all the books that I read personally, as well as a few others from my Kindle. March was one of those months where I did a lot of reading and really enjoyed what I was reading. It was kind of the whole spectrum of books. Some things that really surprised me, like the Mozart family, and some things that I really enjoyed that fell in line with old favorites from this Amish fiction. Leave me a comment down below and let me know the best book that you are reading currently or that you have read in the past month. And if you'd like to, this is an open collaboration, so feel free to create a video like this one and add it to the playlist. Just don't forget to mention the host of this video and then let me know if you post a video so that I can come check it out. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and we'll see you next time. Bye guys.